Yeah, I'm early on that old net pack early this morning. What the hell are you doing? You not gonna greet me?
You know what? I just can't take this. It's your day, it's your show, so why don't you just do it by yourself? I've had enough. I'm out. I'm done.
It ain't the
Can't
same.
take it.
It ain't the same without you. I got to give you what you've been giving Goat James and Jokic for the last 6 weeks. I need to give you all this. How y'all doing, everybody out there? You know, he's sulking right now. He gonna try to misdirect you, do sleight of hand, because he's a magician. He's a magician now. I'm gonna give him credit. He's a magician. He can sleight of hand you to death.
All right.
But I got him today.
I'm gonna take it like a man, as opposed to somebody who sits across from me when Lagon blows it.
What right here?
I can't even read what it says.
You can't read what it says.
It's a bunch of garble.
It says Celtics win as KD misfires. You like that column? Can I be a columnist? Can I do what you did?
It reads, Celtics win asked.
No.
Celtics win asked? Who are they asking? They're not asking. Huh? They're not asking, they're telling.
As KD misfires.
Oh, I see.
How you doing today, Skip?
I'm doing, let's do the show. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it.
We've done this every day for 6 years.
All right, do it.
Well, what happened is KD and Kyrie didn't show up. Kyrie had a sensational game 1, but for whatever reason, he didn't seem as engaged in game 2 as he needed to be. But this is all about the best player on the planet. Kevin Durant came up small again. Everybody, and Chris Broussard gave us this great stat. In 8 games after a loss, Kevin Durant is averaging 39 points, shooting 50+% shooting. What is 4 of 17? What is 0 of 10 in the second half? And you got the contributions that you needed. You got 16 points from Seth Curry. You got 23 points from Bruce Brown. And you got 18 from Goran Dragic. That's what you needed. You needed the others to do what they did. Okay, they did what they were supposed to do. Now I need my big guns, my heavy artillery men to start firing. And it was misfire after misfire after misfire after misfire. That's not good enough. A 17-point lead, Skip Bayless, you tell me all the time, James, onward, James, bring us home. You had a 7-point lead in the fourth quarter with the best player on the planet, and you get outscored 29-12? And again, I keep telling you, it's because of your defense, Skip. What were they getting? Now, Pritchard hit a step-back 3 to give you the lead, and they never relinquished that. But it was layup. Whoever Seth Curry is guarding, Jaylen Brown, they post him up. Whoever Goran Dragic, whoever Kyrie, Skip, you're small. You're a small team, and you don't play defense. You're trying to outscore everybody. What happens when shots don't fall and the other team is getting layups at the other end? They erase a 17-point deficit. What happens? You have a 7-point lead to start the fourth, at some point in time in the fourth, and it goes away with the swiftness, with the quickness. Your guy came up small again. Now, what we're starting to see is that as great as he is, and Kevin Durant is all-time great, he's been coming up small. And there are far more of these games than you would previously think. Go look back at 5 and 6 when they had a 3-1 lead on Golden State and see what he shot. Go back last year in games 4 and 5 against Milwaukee and see what he shot. This notion, hold on, he has the most unstoppable shot. Nobody can block it. I've seen 2 instances in the first 2 games in which Jason Tatum has blocked Kevin Durant's shot. You saw that too? Okay, I'm glad we're watching the same thing and both of our TVs are functioning properly.
We are not watching.
Yeah, we are. Look, this is what the Celtics are doing. Ime Udoka has played against Kevin Durant. He's coached against him when he was in San Antonio. He was on the same staff as Steve Nash last year, and he coached with him again in the Olympic team. So he has a good idea of how you have to defend Kevin Durant. Now, they're getting really physical up under Kevin Durant. Everybody is challenging him, knowing that I have help behind me, Skip. It's kind of like a cornerback. When he knows he has help over the top, he all up there impressed. He's trying to get hands because he's not worried about getting beat over the top because he knows he has the safety help. That's what they're doing. Jaylen Brown, they're crowding him. Jason Tatum, they're crowding. Knowing that Tice, knowing that Al Horford, they're coming smart, getting up into him. The only thing that's going to change this series, Skip, the only thing that I can see that's going to change this series, how will the officiating go moving forward? Because if they continue to let them play like this, and they're letting them play for the most part, it's going to be really tough for your team. But your guy came up small again. You mean to tell me the guy that's 6'11", 7 foot tall, the most unstoppable, the most efficient, got the heavy pull up, can shoot the three mid-range, get all the way, can't get me one? All of his points came from the free throw line, and he only had 6 points in the fourth quarter. When they absolutely needed him the most, he let them down, Skip Bayless. Your guy, if I had to give him a grade, you already know, he gonna have to repeat this grade. He gonna have to repeat this class. He can't advance to the next grade. He gonna have to stay back one more year. And let's talk about
he repeated the class last night because he repeated the class off game 1 and he flunked game 2.
Well, I might have to keep him.
He flunked game 1 and he flunked game 2.
Well, I might have to keep him.
So he's got to repeat second grade twice.
Oh, he got to stay back again.
Yep.
No, they call it stay back or left back. So you got to leave him back. Skip, go ahead, take off. Do what you do. I want you to defend this, though.
Before I launch on this, I got a quick question.
Okay, I got a quick answer.
I think you do a podcast.
I do.
Right? And you had the great Tracy McGrady on.
Yes.
And Tracy volunteered to you that the greatest, the most dynamic scoring duo in the history of basketball is right now in the backcourt for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes.
Didn't he say that?
He said that, KD and Kyrie.
Those two, the most skilled duo in the history of the league as far as shot making and scoring the basketball.
And
right?
D-Wade and LeBron James agreed with it.
And wait, LeBron James, LeGon James, I don't know whatever happened.
It's about to be Kadun.
Really?
KD is about to be Kadun.
I don't know, but LeGon is way gone.
That's
because
okay.
Did they? They didn't even make the playoffs, right?
About to be
the Lakers didn't make the playoffs.
It's about to be 1, 2, 3 Cancun.
This is the playoffs, but wait a second, LeGon didn't make
it. Just the playoffs? Did they play like that?
So LeGon immediately pipes up on Twitter because he's got to say, hey, remember me? I'm still on
Twitter. Tom Brady. Tom Brady. Okay, go ahead.
You mean the guy who's won 7 Super Bowls?
He didn't win last year, though.
Yeah, okay. But at least he was in the playoffs last year, and he actually won a playoff game, which is the equivalent of a playoff
what you talking about, KD? What KD do?
Okay, so LeGon did say, yes, no lie is told or something like that.
Right.
So he co-signed on that, right?
Yes.
So he did, and you did not dispute it on your podcast, according to you.
No,
I didn't hear it, but you did not dispute it.
No.
So we are looking at the most dynamic duo in the history of all of basketball. Right here, right now. Correct? So you agree with that?
Yes.
So after all that you trashed this man, you just 24 hours ago, you're saying he and his co-star are the greatest ever.
Yes.
As far as skill set, right?
But Skip, two things can be true. They can be the greatest ever and not show up in this game. And they didn't.
Okay, now it is my turn about an hour and a half into the show. In my life, I have never been more blindsided and shell-shocked by the absolute collapse of one man like I was by that man last night. I don't even care about Kyrie. I care about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was an all-time disaster last night. It's not just this series or those 2 games. This was all-time, because I have never seen such a great player, widely acknowledged as the best player on the planet, play worse in back-to-back games, but especially in last night's game, than what I just witnessed from Kevin Durant. This series should easily be 2-0 Brooklyn, and it is now 0-2 against Brooklyn because Kevin bleeping Durant was just bleeping Durant. That's all he was just bleeping Durant.
Yeah, he wasn't.
This man managed in 2 games right before our very eyes to combine to go 13 of 41. 13 of 41 from the floor. That's 31.7% for the quote-unquote best player on the planet. Meanwhile, in 2 games, he totaled 12 turnovers. That's Westbrookian. In the second half of the 2 games, he's 7 of 24, which is 29.2%. And he's 1 of 5 from 3 in the combined second halves. And he's a minus 30 in plus-minus in those 2 second halves. 2 games begging to be won by the visiting team. Begging, like on a silver platter for the visiting team. I don't want to hear about the Nets defense because I got to tell you, it was pretty good last night. By their standards, it was pretty great. In the first half, it was truly great. Right. In the second half, it was still good enough to win the basketball game. They were up 17 late in the second quarter. They gave up a run. It may have hurt them, but they were still up 10.5. And if you told me before the game the Nets are going to be up 10.5, I'd say, thank you, God, I'll take it and run with it.
Right.
If you had told me before the game that the Brooklyn Nets would be up 5 after 3 quarters, I would take it and run to the bleeping bank with it.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of lead that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, the most dynamic duo in the history of basketball, should easily run and hide with.
Yeah, but Skip, you've seen this all year. Those are the type of leads that they've blown. You've seen that.
I haven't, because they haven't played together all that
But I'm
much.
saying, since Kyrie's been back with the mandate, you go back and look at their last 20 games and see how many big leads they had, and they collapsed in the end.
So just to display my up-to-the-second objectivity about Kevin bleeping Durant, I'm going to read a string of tweets that I typed last night on the fly in real time. I'm going to read them right now just to show my objectivity, and they started in the middle of the third quarter. And the first one was, this is all caps because I saw it coming, middle of third quarter. Kevin Durant has turned into a nightmare, completely overwhelmed and overmatched by a Celtics defense that's turning him into a turnover machine. Pull your head out, man. Well, he didn't. His head just went deeper and deeper, you know where. Second tweet. Kevin Durant is just getting bullied, all caps, and he has, all caps, folded, because he did.
Yeah.
No Moss. You remember that fight?
Yes, I do. Roberto and Sugar Ray.
Make that, and these are capitalized words, make that the softest player on the planet so disappointing. Next tweet. This is probably early fourth quarter. KD, Boston MVP. He was Boston's MVP of that game. Next tweet. KD and Kyrie are on their way to joining LeBron in Cancun. Bingo. Game over. Thank you very much. Drive safely. Next tweet. Tonight he was Kevin Can't Durant, because that's what he was. He was Can't Durant. And then the final one was, this was for you. I just lost 3 cases of Diet Dew to Shannon Sharpe thanks to Can't Do, D-E-W, Can't Do Rant, because he can't even do my do. He undid my own do.
Yeah.
He lost me 3 cases
With
that
2
were
points.
sitting in the middle of the table for me to gulp. They were big gulps, right in the middle of the table saying, here, drink me, drink me, drink me, and Can't D-E-W Rant, Can't Do Rant, couldn't even do that. I am dumbfounded. I am gobsmacked. I would have bet 100 cases against that happening last night in that situation to that guy. But he shrank, and I'm not finished yet because I got more here.
Okay.
He was rendered last night, Kevin bleeping Durant, he was rendered slow and clumsy looking. That's what he looked like to me. He looked like a guy who couldn't dribble because he's so tall. It's like he's too tall for his dribble. And he tries to dribble, through 3 Celtics, and the ball's dribbling so high that it's just being knocked out of his hands like he's in 8th grade. That's what it looked like an 8th grader out there trying to play with professionals. He looked weak and shaky passing the basketball as well as shooting the basketball, which shocked me because he's highly capable of a 10-assist game. And he's just like, he's intimidated.
But would you agree that he's not a natural passer of the ball?
No, he's
like a LeBron.
Okay, he's not LeBron, but he's a very good passer.
Yeah, he's a good passer, but not a natural passer.
The point was, Kevin Durant went in the tank. They destroyed his confidence in the middle of the third quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, and I never say this, I don't know if I've ever said this on this show, they took his heart. They just snatched it right out of his carcass.
What?
They took his heart away.
The best player on the planet
because he had nothing left. There was no more backbone left. He was a jellyfish in the fourth quarter. I've never seen anything like it. He shot shots like he knew they were going to miss. That's what he looked like. Every time he went up, it's like his hands are shaking. Yeah. It was like LeBron at the late game free throw line, like his hands are shaking.
You don't need to mention LeBron.
Well, he's LeBron.
Yeah, okay, so why are you bringing him up? This is about Kevin Durant and how he fell in epic proportions last night.
And I'll throw this in. Kyrie wasn't much better, but the better player is obviously Kevin Durant.
Yes.
So the bulk of the blame is laid at his feet.
Right.
He's 7 feet tall. He's a 7-foot monster. His shot, you would think, was unblockable unless he goes up so tentatively, so softly that Jason Tatum blocked it a couple of times last night, but one in the fourth quarter that just knocked me over. And I give it up to Jason Tatum. He played some hellacious defense. It was all about his heart. He had big heart. Kevin Durant had no heart. Jason Tatum was all over him. And to your point, it's cornerback mentality because he knows he's got help.
Yeah.
But still, Jason Tatum mirrored every move that KD made with the basketball. And Ime Udoka, as you know, sat on that bench last year. He's watched Kevin up close and personal for years and years and years. The Olympics, the whole thing.
From San Antonio.
He knows him cold.
Absolutely.
He's been beaten by him, and he has beaten him.
Yes.
He beat him in his house one night when Ginobili made a shot of shots to get the Spurs back to the finals that they won in 2014.
Right.
By a record finals margin against LeBron and company. But it took them at least keeping Kevin to a low roar in that game, and Westbrook to a low roar, for them to steal that game in the end because Ginobili made a big three. But they know how. Ime knows how that you have to get up into him, you get physical with him, and you play football, basketball with him, and the refs pretty much let him get away with it, except he did go to the free throw line 20 times.
Yeah.
And, of course, he made 18. But you know when he really went in the tank, when I knew he was just psychologically cooked? When he missed 2, I said, he's gone. He's over and he is out because they have snatched his heart and his psyche and what's left of his confidence. He was absolutely done. I didn't think it was possible to do that to that man on any stage under any circumstance because nobody has ever done that to him. Nobody. It's never been close to that.
Well, here's the thing, Skip. The reason why nobody is hard for them to do is because nobody's had this level of athlete. When you look at Jaylen Brown, you look at Jason Tatum, you look at Marcus Smart, you look at Al Horford, you look at Daniel Tice, guys that have length. Now, although Marcus Smart is not as tall as the aforementioned guys, he's a body. He's a big, strong, muscular guy that will play physical basketball. There's a reason why he was Defensive Player of the Year. Now, you might think Mikal Bridges or Rudy Gobert, but he won the award. So, obviously, a lot of people thought that he was playing very good defense all year long. He can get up under him. He plays up under him. But he knows, like you said, I got help behind me. Al Horford is coming from somewhere. JT, JB, they're coming from somewhere. Tice is coming from somewhere. Just imagine if they had Robert Williams, who's the better defender than all of them other than Smart. He might be the best defender. And he's not even there.
Yep.
So they have enough bodies. Skipping, if you watch when Kevin Durant shoot, more times than not, there's somebody on the side that's jumping. There's somebody that's in front of him that's jumping. He's never seen that before. I just want you to, because you focus on the basket, but you can see these guys out of your peripheral.
Yep.
And they're doing a great job of that. But I like what you're saying. You're talking about, I'm going to be totally objective. You got no choice. You're the guy that they caught in the bank vault at 3 a.m. and he tells the cops, yeah, I was stealing money. You got no choice. We got you dead to right. You got no choice but to say Kevin Durant laid the egg because everybody saw it. 4 of 17, another 6 turnovers, minus 19 in the second half. What other choice do you have but to be objective?
That was the question I kept asking you all year very long about LeBron and company.
This ain't about LeBron.
Yes, it is.
No,
you always change the subject.
No,
if I'm talking about Tom Brady, then you have to bring up Kevin Durant.
No, I'm not talking about KD.
Yeah.
All I'm talking about is your guy had a 17-point lead.
All I know is that your guy had at least 17 times this year that he could have closed games and won them, and he failed at least 17 times this year.
Skip.
That's all I know. And not once would you own up, fess up, confess.
I absolutely did.
You were caught in spotlights at 3 a.m. in the vault with a whole hands full of gold bricks. You had gold bricks in your hand, and you're saying, who, me? No, it wasn't me.
Go back and look it up. How many 17-point leads or more that Kevin Durant has blown in the playoffs?
Yep.
It's more than you think. That's not the first one. That's not.
All I know is this team, the Nets, last night scored an average of 30 points a quarter for the first 3. And to your point, Bruce Brown got off to just a sensational start.
Yes.
Then Dragic came in and went pretty crazy for a while. And Patty Mills made a big 3. And Seth Curry made, 4 threes, right? Didn't he make? Yeah, he made 4 out of 6. And Claxton had a couple of blocks, and Big Penguin had a couple of blocks and 3 steals. I can't ask for any more from supporting cast.
No, you can't.
And then all I know is in the fourth quarter, a team that had scored 30 points per quarter through 3 quarters scored 17 points and lost 29-17.
Skip, you only scored 42 in the second half because Boston defense turned it up, and look at what you gave up. Skip, the Celtics shot 65% in the fourth quarter. Is that outstanding defense? They shot 65%.
No, they were making tough shots.
Yeah,
they were
layup.
unconscious. Remember Marcus Smart?
Layup.
I mean, Marcus, layup with his left hand from about 7 feet off the glass.
What about
was that easy?
What about
was that not contested?
Double P.
There were no layups. There was no. The layup drill was game 1. I'm sorry, you're wrong about that.
Double P laid up one on KD.
I got to get a new TV because I thought the Nets played plenty enough defense to win that game. Plenty enough. Plenty enough.
Skip.
You just need your 2 biggest guns in the history of basketball to make a couple of shots.
Again, so that's 2 games in a row. If Kevin Durant gives you a C- game, you win. If he gives you a C- game in both of those games, you're going home 2-0 with a chance to close the series out and never get on a plane or a bus again and go back to Boston.
I would agree with that, but I've said the same thing again and again and again about LeBron James.
They got,
Yeah, it does.
I love how
you've been telling me he's the best player on the planet.
No.
He abdicated the throne?
No, Skip. I've said Giannis. I said at the beginning of the year, Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player. I have not said all year long that LeBron is the best player. You kept saying Kevin Durant. Now in 2 back-to-back games, he's come up smaller than Muggsy Bogues.
I didn't say it. The world said it. I might have said it first, but the world said it.
But guess what, Skip? I will say this. He did help the U.S. win the gold medal. So you can hang your hat on that.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.